The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the Final Furlong Podcast as the countdown to the Cheltenham Festival continues. And with that in mind, we are going to play a new game on the podcast. It's the Yes No Game Show. We're going to spin through the favourites for every single race at Cheltenham. We'll go through each division: novice hurdlers, novice chasers, open company hurdlers, open company chasers, handicappers for a bit of a speed round, and get a yes or no answer from Adam, Kate and Barry as to whether they are with the favourite or not. We'll poll each person and then give reasons as to why they are with or against in the Yes No Game Show. I'm Emmet Kennedy. It is great to have you with us. Remember to hit the like button on YouTube. It's a huge help with the algorithm. And also subscribe to us on YouTube. And wherever you're listening to this episode of the Final Furlong Podcast, your support of the show is greatly appreciated. We have got At The Races columnist and the man with all of the stats, all of the information you need, and the best French racing expert in the business, Adam Mills, alongside us. We've also got somebody who has spent her entire adult life in the horse racing industry, work riding for Gordon Elliott, Porrick Roach, but also working the logistical effort within the industry as well, Kate Young, and one of the best broadcasters in Irish racing, the voice of many Irish tracks, including Gowran Park, and the founder and presenter of the Champ.ie podcast. It's been a long time coming, but finally, Barry Doyle makes it to the Final Furlong. Hey, Barry, welcome along.
That's some build-up, Emmet. Thank you very much. Big follower of the show, and great to meet all three on the podcast. Looking forward to it. It's 2 weeks to go now, Emmet.
Oh man, I can't wait, but I'm also a little bit nervous about the fact that it's literally just around the corner. We'll begin with the Supreme Novice Hurdle, the race that'll get the largest cheer of all once the tape goes up. And Kopek Des Bordes is a red-hot favourite. When I sent the running order to the team last night, he was the even money favourite with Jeff Banks Bet. He is now 10 to 11 on. So somebody, I'm looking at you, Adam Mills, decided to unload, I'm guessing. Or did he? Is he with or against? Kopek Des Bordes, odds-on favourite with Jeff Banks Bet for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, and odds-on across the board. Adam Mills, yes or no for the favourite for the Supreme?
Yes. Quite
Kate?
happy to be with him.
Kate?
Yeah.
Barry?
Full house. I'm not against him at this point, Emmet.
All right, let's elaborate on why. Adam, why do you think Kopek Des Bordes is going to get off to a winning start in the Supreme?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to back him anti-post at odds-on, but I look at this race and think he's probably achieved the most. He's scared off a lot of his rivals as well. I think this will be a relatively weak Supreme. I can see people trying to create anti-post angles each way of Workhead and a few others, but ultimately, if Kopek Des Bordes turns up in the same form that he showed at the DRF, he'll be in front of the second last and there'll be nothing to get near him.
Yeah, his running style is going to be a huge advantage, Kate, because horses who are prominent in the Supreme Novice Hurdle can be very, very difficult to peg back, particularly ones trained by Willie Mullins and ridden by Paul Townend. Is it similar reasons for you, to Adam?
Yeah, I think he was very impressive. You can't knock what he did. He improved his jumping from his first start, and that was kind of an issue with him on his maiden run, but he kind of put that to bed. He's improved drastically since then. I think he'll be extremely hard to beat. I think Romeo Curio, he'll probably likely be second. He's done nothing wrong. I think that little blip in Fairy House might be the reason why he's 6 to 1. I think if he'd won that, he'd be a lot shorter. But I think he's a solid horse going to that as well. I think he'll put up a big fight. I think I'm keen on Irancy at 33 to 1 as an each way bet. I think he's to form there. He's an interesting runner. Only a couple of runs. He seems to be a little bit tricky to train, but I think JP might not have anything in this race now, seeing as Cowabunga is now out, and he might just turn up here all being well. At 33 to 1, I think he could be an interesting each way bet.
Okay, that's definitely what I want to explore with you a little bit later on down the line on a more in-depth Novice Hurdle preview podcast. And Barry, for you, Kopek Des Bordes?
Yeah, like I come out of the Dublin Racing Festival, Emmet, thinking that that Willie Mullins would win both novice hurdles. I mean, Kopek Des Bordes, look, obviously he's short, and we've kind of been here before with short price favourites for Supreme. And it is the first race of the festival, and temperament was the question, really, wasn't it? He was very, very keen throughout that race at Leopardstown last time, and obviously in his first start, I think that Kate mentioned his jumping. It did really, really improve. With Patrick on before the Tiestes preview, and I actually don't think we put it out for some reason. There was a little bit of interrupted on the interview itself, but that was the one heading to the Dublin Racing Festival that he was looking forward to seeing. And he did say he'd schooled him that particular morning that we were speaking to him, and his jumper was absolutely electric. So that was the big thing, really, wasn't it, after his first start over hurdles. And obviously we saw that Leopardstown on his second start that his jumping was very, very good. But just an interesting trend. I'm not going to bore you all with trends all evening, but this is one that did catch the eye of it. And it was only one of the last 17 winners of the Supreme had less than 3 runs over hurdles. And I think this year you could probably make an exception, given the fact that horses were, I suppose, starting the season a little bit later. The ground was quick, etc. So I think he ticks every other box apart from that. And I think he's quite good. And if there was maybe one against him, I actually was really impressed with William Muddy. I know what did he beat is the question last time at Punchestown, but I thought he was good. And I like the form with Work Ahead as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he reversed form with him. And I think he could be the biggest danger to Kopek Des Bordes. But Kopek Des Bordes, even money. I think Willie will win the 2 novice hurdles, 2 miles, 2.5 miles. And spoiler alert, nap at the whole festival, Final Demand. There you go.
Oh, as we're kicking on to the second big novice hurdle of the meeting, we're going to stick with the divisions as we go through. So spoiler alert, I already know, unless he's going to pull like a massive crazy Ivan here now and turn around at the last second and go against him. But Final Demand is the 6-4 favourite for the opening race of day 2, the Turner's novice hurdle, again for Willie Mullins. Poor old Liam, who'll be back on the show soon, dared to express the opinion that Willie might not have a novice hurdle win at Cheltenham. And then suddenly the DRF turned things around massively. How dare he express an opinion? He's back on the podcast next week. We're looking forward to catching up with him again. The Final Demand 6-4 with Jeff Banks bet. So we already know that Barry is with him. For that matter, I'm with him and with Kopek Des Bordes as well. Adam Mills, yes or no, Final Demand?
No.
Kate Young.
It's going to be a scrap here.
The deciding
Yes.
vote, Kate. Yes, okay. Adam, you're outvoted. So why are you against him, Adam?
Well, I'm the only person on here who's not Irish, so I've got to give the British something. And if we're going to win a novice race at the festival, this is probably our best chance. I like the New Lion. Ignore the horses he's beat. Just look what he does. Look how he canters for his race. This turn of foot he's got. Although this race is over further, generally speaking, the Supreme is a bigger stamina test than this intermediate race because they tend to plod round to the top of the hill. I think Harry Skelton will look at this race now and think, I've got one horse to beat. And if I sit on Final Demand's tail, I can do him for speed. The New Lion's jumping is incredibly efficient, loses less than 4% on average over his hurdles. I've just got this feeling with the New Lion that whereas in the past we've written off shallow hurdle winners, the New Lion's a different breed. He's not ever likely to sort of suddenly emerge into a 3-mile novice hurdle. He's just got the speed to run in the Supreme if they really wanted to. But I think this race will suit him perfectly. Stalking ride, and he'll pounce when they jump the last.
Okay. Obviously, we all disagree with you. We're going to explain why now in a second. You do know he won the Shallow Hurdle, and not only do Shallow Hurdle winners not win at the Cheltenham Festival, but also the form of that is dirt.
I would say Paul Nicholls' shallow hurdle winners don't win at the festival. We haven't seen what a Dan Skelton shallow hurdle winner can do yet.
Okay. Dan was involved in the training of Denman, though, and he did get beaten. So we can expand more on that, though, in the coming weeks. Kate, why are you with Final Demand?
I just think he was really impressive at the DRF, and I think that's the best winner of that Grade 1 the last 10 years, to be honest. I don't think he lacks gears. I don't think the 2.5 on that course will be a problem. I think he's more pace than we probably think. I think he's got a very high cruise. I think he'll probably be hard to beat. To be honest, I don't think there's too much between them, the New Lion. I think he's a very, very good horse. But like you said, that shallow form, I just have my reservations about. And I think that's what's put me off him. But I think he'd be very, very close.
So you and I have talked about this at Gore, and we talked about it on a late call over the weekend as well, Barry. We're both of the opinion that if he ran in the Supreme, he'd be competitive. I'm not telling you he'd win, but I don't think the trip is any issue at all for Final Demand. I'm very much with Kate on this.
Absolutely no issue whatsoever. I think he'd win any of the 3 novices hurdles at the festival. I think he's an absolute Rolls Royce. He'll win the Gold Cup whenever they ask him to win the Gold Cup. I genuinely believe that Final Demand would pick the New Lion up, carry him to the second last, drop him off, and he'd still win by 5+ lengths. I know that's bullish. I just believe this horse is the one horse this season, Emmet, that has in the novice ranks. I just love how straightforward he is at Limerick. I mean, his cruising speed. Kate alluded to it, how quick he is over his hurdles, and how relaxed he is in his races. I just think he's bomb-proof mentally. He looks the real deal. And I just loved when Paul let out a little bit of rain at the Dublin Racing Festival. Between the second last round and the bend, we see many a good horse turn in off the bend in those novice hurdle races at Leopardstown. Kate mentioned the best winner of the Nathaniel Lacey over the last 10 years. I can't remember a better winner of that particular race, and the form has taken under a boost, of course, with Will the Wise winning the Potemps race over the weekend. Like, I think his maiden win at Limerick, the second and the third have both come out. I think maybe the fourth has come out and won as well. But Will the Wise has come out and won twice since. So the form looks, to me, rock solid. I loved what he done in the Nathaniel Lacey, and I think stepping back and trip is absolutely the right call. Simply because his cruising speed and his jumping ability, I wouldn't be going out and trip. I'd definitely be coming back to the turns. I think Willie Mullins is making the right call, and I think he will. He's my nap at the whole meeting. So.
Sometimes you get that little bit of a shiver in your spine, right down your back. You see a performance that's so good. Not only do you get the goosebumps, you just get that feeling. You've just seen something special. That's what I got with Final Demand. And I was slightly nervous of him going to the DRF because he only had one run over hurdles. I thought inexperience might catch him out. There's a few good horses in there. Love the fact that Paul Townend rode him with supreme confidence. Love the fact that he went up the rail. You've got JJ going down the centre of the track trying to give Jasmine DeVoe as much daylight as possible to help him over the hurdles. Not a bit of it for Paul. Threw him into all of them, and he's bolted up. And from the sounds of things, there's big talk about Wingman from the Gordon Elliott yard for the potato race. Okay, that might change. So we'll talk about that in a second. But it's not like he beat a tree that day.
Yeah, no, he didn't. I just think he's really solid. And like Barry said, I think the Willie Mullins Supreme Turner's double just looks really strong. There's not much. Yeah, I think at this point in time, that's a strong double for me at the moment.
Sometimes there's a bet that looks so obvious, it's just you got to put it down to pick it up, and that's what this looks like. And the only thing that's bothering me is I'm more confident about Final Demand than I am about Kopek Des Bordes. And then along comes Adam Mills and goes, no. It's like you're raining on the parade, Adam. Have we at all persuaded you the other way?
No, look, Final Demand is a very good horse. I'm not disputing that. I'm just, until something beats the new line, I won't be proved otherwise.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to the potato race, shall we? If there's any race that should be removed as a novice hurdle from the Cheltenham Festival, I think it's this one. Bizarre that you're trying to talk. There are people trying to talk about removing a race that dates back to the 1970s in the Bearing Bingham. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. The Yellow Clay is now the favourite. We know the Final Demand is not going here, but Jeff has to price him, so he goes 6-1 him. But the Yellow Clay is the 7-2 market leader for the potato race. He might go here, he might not. But on the assumption that he does, yes or no, the Yellow Clay, Adam Mills?
No.
Kate?
No, but I want him to win.
That's fair. Barry?
No, not for me at that price in this race.
And no for me as well, for that exact reason, Barry. And I'll go to you first this time around. And it is just, this is a race that gets won by outsiders. So as much as I like the Yellow Clay, I can't be backing him at that price.
Yeah, and I think if you were to ask me who would you back, the Yellow Clay at what is he, 3-1, or the Big Westerner at 6-1, I'd definitely be with the Big Westerner. Out of, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I loved what she done on her first start. They went slow at Punchestown, turned into a bit of a dash, and she's not a 2.5 mile horse. And what she done, I think she showed plenty of ability on her first start, as mentioned. And I loved what she done in particular at Limerick. And that race at Limerick, the 2 mile 7. Obviously, she's racing against the Geldings on her first start of her hurdles, and the Big Westerner, against the Geldings once again. That's a real pointer. I think Stellar Story finished second in the race at Limerick. win the Albert Bartlett. But look, you mentioned obviously the price thing and the Yellow Clay. Like, I mean, he's definitely going to be a bigger price on the day. Well, I can't see how he's any shorter than 3-1. I'd be against him. The Lawlers form, okay, it looks okay. I don't think it was a vintage Lawlers this season. The Big Westerner for me, she would be the one of those at single figures. But I'm very interested in a horse. I'm not sure if he lines up. They might, because the yard's record in Aintree, go to the 3 mile Grade 1 race. Derry Hasten Paddy, I think, is a horse with a lot of ability for Lucinda Russell. He's 20-1 at the moment in this particular race. If he rocked up, I'd be interested in him at double figures. But at the moment, the Big Westerner, fingers crossed. I'm on her at big prices on the Champ podcast, Eddie, or Emmet. So fingers crossed for a big run. And 6-1, she would be the way I would side at the minute in the race.
Okay, I like that. 5 winning favourites in the last 7 runnings of the Baring Bingham, now Turner's Novice Hurdle. 2 of the last 7 favourites, I should say, have won the Supreme Novice Hurdle. One of them was a joint favourite. Constitution Hill was sent off joint favourite. How did we not know? I was against him that day, like a dum-dum. No winning favourites in the last 7 and only 1 in the last 12 runnings of the potato race. This is a nightmare of a race, Kate. So is that the reason why you're against the Yellow Clay?
I'd love to see him win because he's homebred for the Noel Moran team, and I think he kind of deserves to win. He's done nothing wrong this season, but it's that trend. It's a big price, Albert Bartlett winning it, and I just can't really look past that. I'm in agreement with Barry, the Big Westerner. I think she'll get the £7. Sprink de la Mare's won twice, I think, since, and Argento Boy has won as well. It really backs up that form. I think at a big price, I think the Flicker of Hope for Mark Fahey for that team. I think that's an interesting runner. He kind of fits that profile. He's the experience. He's plenty of runs under his belt. He had a big handicap pop prize this year, and I think he's probably might lack the class, but this race kind of yields a winner that sometimes aren't quite that great, that top level. And I think he might just spring a little in each way point of view, but I quite like him coming into this.
Okay, and Adam, for you?
Yeah, it's just a price thing. The Yellow Clay is a really nice horse, and I think he'll probably be there or thereabouts at the second last. But you get the price winners of this race because so many of them improve for the step up in trip, the change of pace. It's all about who handles the occasion better. If the rain keeps falling in England, this is going to be a bit of a slog. But unlike the other 2 novice hurdles, if you wanted to lay this favourite, you've got a lot of horses running for you. You've got the Big Western, who's got a lot of form. Jasmine DeVoe's a champion bumper winner. Can't jump a hurdle to save his life. But actually in the Albert Bartlett, it doesn't really matter because you only jumped 2 in the last 7 furlongs, so he should be. Jet Blue is an absolutely ridiculous price. He's won over course and distance, has got really solid form. David Cotton does know the time of day, and Caroline Tisdale is a brilliant judge of where to send her horses. He shouldn't be 16-1. Wingman's got really solid form. If I like the new line, I have to give Wendigo an each-way chance as well because he was running on in the Challow. Derry Hasten Paddy would obviously be on the list. Fishery Lane could be on the list. You've got loads running for you. I think the Yellow Clay will go off nearer 6s because I don't think this is anywhere near the penalty kick it looks if Final Demand definitely doesn't run. So he's just got to be taken on, and he might win it. He's not impossible. He's got Grade 1 form, but at the prices, he's far too short.
So I think he's the best horse in the race, and I really liked him for the Turners up until Final Demand emerged on the scene, and I thought he actually would have had the pace to be able to go and beat the new line, which then means, well, why am I taking him on in this race? It's because of the nature of this race and what history tells you, and the amount of people that you're just hearing say, oh, he'll outclass them. You got to be a heavyweight boxer to get through this, and even then, you might not be the best horse. It's not necessarily the best horse who wins this race. It's the best horse on the day. And I just wanted to very briefly expand on Jet Blue with you because we've talked about him a couple of times. I keep expecting him to shorten in the betting, Adam, and it's not happening, and I can't really understand why.
Well, 1, he's not Irish trained. 2, it's a recency bias that because he won in December and everyone looks at things, British Novice Hurdle before Christmas, are you mad? But actually that form worked out really well. He won it so easily. David Cotton is also not on every podcast speaking about his horses. He's quite methodical. They've got a couple of really nice runners for the festival. They've had this plan. And the other thing just to bear in mind with him is if you're a 3 mile novice hurdler, you have got no chance in French racing whatsoever, because French racing does not run over that far. There are only 7 hurdle races a year that get anywhere near 3 miles. They're very limited options. And if you wanted to come in March, you basically have to put the horse away over the winter. So he's just been forgotten about. I mean, look, it's impossible to say that he's going to beat the Irish because we can't really confirm that form. But he has got course and distance form. He will stay really well. He's going to run in the race. I just
Adam,
like
just a question, Adam. Just a question, actually, on JetBlue, because for a horse that had actually decent enough form over shorter, heading to in his trial race, I don't know. Did you think he kind of ran? I kind of thought, well, in a race like this, not saying to go as hard as the Supreme for the first 2 furlongs, but they bounce out. They go very, very hard for a 3-mile race in this, and I think that's partly the reason why you get such big price. You need to more than stay in a race like this. You need to lie up early. Obviously, I think jumping well is very, very important in a race like this. But I was wondering what you thought on JetBlue in his trial race, because I actually thought he ran a bit in snatches, and I liked the performance in the end. He was probably better at the line than he was anywhere else in the race. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a difficult adjustment for French horses to make, because you just can't help it. I watched the racing at Auteuil today. Every hurdle race is exactly the same. They're all sitting looking at each other, and then they jump to third last, and it's, okay, now we'll race and we'll sprint. So you kind of have to train your horse in France to have a sprint finish. Then they come over here to a big galloping expanse like Cheltenham, where it's much more about getting into a rhythm. It's much more about maintaining the gallop. That's why probably he's a little bit in and out. But I was so impressed with what he did in the final 3 furlongs. And I just think there's loads of improvement to come. Now, I don't know how that form compares to the Irish. It's impossible really to draw any serious form lines. But hopefully we'll get James Reevely. We'll have a nice judge of pace. I think that the key with JetBlue is just trying to get him into a rhythm. And if you can get him into a rhythm and he's somewhere there or thereabouts coming down the hill, we know that he's got enough speed to challenge. It's just a question of whether they can keep him in the right position. But at 16-1, I think he's better value than the 7-2, the yellow clay.
Kate, is it possible that Gordon looks at this from a long-term perspective and just goes, no, we'll actually run him in the intended race? We'll go for the Bearing Bingham, the Turners, and we've got Wingman for the potato race.
I don't know, to be honest. I suppose you want to split them up there anyway. Could do, yeah. I'd say it wouldn't be a surprise if he did, especially considering the same Wingman and Yellow Clays with the same connections. They'd probably want to split them up themselves anyway, but I suppose if they think he's an out-and-out stayer, if you think about the Turners being more of a speed test, it probably won't suit him.
I know that people are going to look at this and say, but sure, he can't beat the Yellow Clay. How can he? He's got 11 lengths to find with him. It's over 3 miles at Cheltenham. It's a completely different thing. And he's already had a sighter of Cheltenham as well. I just wonder with him, is he a little bit more interesting? Anyway, this is the Yes No Game show. This is more about marking your card in terms of which favourites to be with and which ones to be against. And we're all against the Yellow Clay. Is that going to come back and haunt us? Is it? It might do, you know. Very briefly, the Mare's Novice Hurdle. The betting with Jeff Banks Bet sees Maureen related to Faugheen, an 11-4 shot. 6.5 is 130, but that doesn't really matter. We're focused really on the favourite Maureen. So yes or no for the Mare's Novice Hurdle, Adam Mills. Maureen?
No.
Kate?
No.
Barry?
No.
Yeah, we're all against her. And I think it's kind of self-explanatory. One run, she was all right hurdling. She wasn't great, though. Care to expand, Adam?
It's just a price thing. I mean, she could be anything, but I'm not really sold. I just think experience counts. I'd be in the Caroline Bamboo camp. I loved her AQPS form in France. Her form with Camara de Huez is rock solid. And I think with Caroline Bamboo, because she got beat on her Irish debut, there was kind of a massive, deflated feeling of oh, she's not a superstar. But I really like what she did the other day. She's got bags of experience running in those flat races in France. I think she's a pretty solid each way bet at around 10-1. I think that's very fair. And for that reason, if I fancy her, I can't really be in the Maureen camp.
Yeah, I agree. And I know Baby Kate was disappointing the last day, but she had been impressive in a listed bumper prior to that. So that's a horse of talent. Kate, for you?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Maureen's just too lightly raced for my liking. She's only had 2 track runs coming into Cheltenham. I say she's very fragile and she's probably not the easiest to train. I just have that in the back of my mind. 3-1 is just too short. Maybe if she was 16, 18-1, she might have a little bit of interest there, but she's just too short for what she's done. I think 6.5, she's interesting. She was very impressive. Same kind of thing. She only had 1 run over hurdles, but she's had plenty of runs on the flat, and her flat form is very strong. I think she was very, very quick and very accurate over hurdles, and she kind of looked like she knew what she was doing. And I think connections are happy enough to go straight there now. I think she's an interesting one. Aurora Vega, I think she's quite a big price, but I think that might be because her form is all on right-handed tracks. And her start at Cheltenham, she kind of flopped. Going that in the back of my mind is maybe that's why she's 14-1. But she has been very impressive this season. I think Therese at 20-1 is an interesting contender. I think she was quite impressive at Navan when she bolstered up in that mare's novice listed. I think the only concern with her is just dropping back to 2 mile. Her best performance is at 2.5. But the new course with the emphasis on stamina might not be too much of a problem. At 20-1, I think she might just be a little bit of value. I think she's improving and she's a bit of an interest for me. Okay.
And Barry, your thoughts?
Exactly with Adam on Caroline Bamboo. I think her form in France was I suppose eye-catching before she even made her debut over hurdles at Naas. The ground was actually pretty quick at Naas that day. And I just wonder, would she like it maybe a little bit easier? And was it heavy ground at Fairyhouse last time? It was non-complicated. Mark just booked her out. I thought her jumping was really good that day. She won by 2 lengths. Could have been 12 lengths. Could have been probably more. I think was it Qualamita was still in contention when coming down. I think her well taken care of. Caroline Bamboo with the 2 runs as well. I think experiences. I mean, she's just as much experience now over hurdles as the 6.5 and Maureen, but she's more runs on the level in France. So overall, she's more experienced than the 2 first ones you've mentioned. Maureen, look, she's very, very short. She's a big scopy mare. I'd say she'd be a better horse next year. And 6.5, I think she's the look of a talking horse for me. I don't know. I would have liked to see her form. Not saying that her form should have worked out any better than it has already, but I just think she's plenty short on what she's done. Jubilee Alpha was interesting. I agree with Kate. I thought Therese was very good actually at night. And you're talking about favourites in the Albert Bartlett. This one, what have we had? Was it 5 of the last 6 favourites actually unplaced in this particular race?
Yeah.
So, and I can throw up a funny result. Caroline Bamboo for me. Look, I think there's still double figures in places with her. I could see her being the subject of a right old gamble on the day.
Yeah, the first 3 runnings of this were really simple. Just back the short priced Willie Mullins favourite. They all went in 1. No winning favourite since 2018 in Lorena. And as Barry said, quite a few of them have been unplaced as well. So good luck to you if you're with Maureen. We're not going to tell you shouldn't be, but we are telling you shouldn't be. We're going to switch to the novice chasers in a second and race through those. But if you're in the market for a new bookmaker, if you're looking for a bit of value, if you're looking for the ultimate satisfaction for the Cheltenham Festival, where you can get fair prices against a bookmaker that's actually offering his opinion and not just leaning on the algorithm with loads of value and money back offers, only one place to go. JeffBanks.bet. Sign up now. Use your promo code FFP500. You're eligible for 10% money back up to £500 after your first month of betting. So even if you're getting it wrong at Cheltenham, you can claw back a little bit of that, but you won't need to, because Barry, Kate and Adam will be steering you in the winning direction with loads of tips left, right and centre. And Peter and Andy are in terrific form as well. And we've got loads of guests lined up with bankers and loads of winners to come as well. So JeffBanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500. Punish Jeff Banks. Take his money. And you might even get some of your own money back if you end up losing. Novice Chasers, we're going to the Arkle first of all, and for the second year in a row, Majborough looks to capitalise on the absence of Sergino. That's how it worked in the Triumph Hurdle. Is it going to pay off the same way in the Arkle this time? He is the 13-8 on market leader after scooting to victory under Mark Walsh in the Irish Arkle last time to be 2 from 2. He's most certainly the best horse in the race, Adam, but are you with him or against him? Yes or no, Majborough?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
I'd have been shocked if you said otherwise. Barry?
Certainty.
All right, expand on certainty, Barry.
I really fallen in love with this Majborough. What is he, 8-13 now? I would have been with him against Sergino. So if you're going to be with him against Sergino, you have to be with him against Lotus Sudden, who's the next in the market. Only by Night, I think people were talking maybe about her.
Django Bay and Only by Night, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a mismatch. Horse will have learned a lot from Leopardstown. I thought his jumping was brilliant actually at Fairyhouse in his first start. He absolutely winged 4 out. It was Sprinter Sacra-esque 4 out at Fairyhouse in his first start. And I for the life of me, I can't understand how people thought this horse was a 3-miler heading into this season. I mean, was he shorter in the market for the Brown Advisory than he was the Arkle before we even kicked the ball? And I would have been against it. I would have been with him, against Sergino. He's the first leg of my banker treble for the week. You know, if you're looking for 3 good ones for the week, he's the first leg of it. Final Demand is the second. And spoiler alert, East India Dock for the Triumph. There you go.
Okay, we might go to war on the Triumph Hurdle a little bit later on. Kate, sometimes you can just overcomplicate things and try and find a bit of value for yourself. And yeah, for sure, Majborough made a couple of mistakes in the Irish Arkle, and if he was to replicate those at Cheltenham, it could have a disastrous effect. John Bond made 2 crucial errors in the Clarence House chase at Cheltenham 2 years ago, and that was game over. You can't get away with that. That being said, he's clearly the best horse in the race.
Yeah, I think he's really hard to oppose at this stage. I think he's been really impressive in both starts. I think people have been pretty harsh on his jumping at Leopardstown, to be honest. I think the data backs up that he was actually much quicker and slicker than he probably appeared visually. I'm actually glad that he made a couple of mistakes on the day, because you wouldn't want to see him coming into Cheltenham completely flawless in the jumping. He would have learned so much at Leopardstown that day, and I think he'll improve. I don't think he lost any speed whatsoever with the mistakes he's made. If anything, the fence at Cheltenham are going to be a lot softer, so he can probably afford to make a mistake or two and get away with it. I don't think at any point he looked like he was slowing down when he made a mistake. I just think he's a very, very good horse, and I think he will have Lotus Soda under pressure early on at the way he gallops through a race and the way he can kind of put horses under pressure at a very early stage. Like, I like Lotus Soda. I think he's a brilliant jumper, and I think that's probably his biggest asset. But I think that race at Warwick might have left the market on him. I think he looked a really tired horse. I don't think he finished out the race at all. I know Rubard has since franked the form, but he didn't look a tired horse finishing that day. He just looked like a horse that was tap the toe turning in and stayed going. He looked like he finished out his race well, whereas Lotus didn't. And I just have that in the back of my mind. Will it be one race too many for him? But I still really like him. I still think he's a very good horse, but I don't think he's quite in the league that Majborough is in.
Yeah, I suspect that Rubo is better than most people give him credit for. The fact that he was second to one of the best handicapped horses at Cheltenham last year and in Absurd in the County Hurdle was a monstrous effort. And there wouldn't have been a huge amount between the two of them over hurdles, to be fair. But Majborough has the greater scope for potential, and he is the grade 1 chaser coming in. Plus, he absolutely buried Touch Me Not, whereas Lotus Sud beat him comfortably, but Majborough tore him to pieces. So if he gets around, surely Adam Mills he wins.
Yeah, he's got tons in hand. I can't be having Lotus Sud. And I just think that, I wouldn't agree with Barry. I think Sergino would have absolutely murdered Majborough. That's another debate we're never going to find out. But if you think about last year's Triumph, which is still very painful for me, but that's life. Cargig's absolutely tanking. But the difference is Majborough, not only has he got the ability to jump, but he's got stamina as well. He's better if they need him to. The more it rains, the more confident I'd be in Majborough, because I just think he's got absolutely everything. He jumps really well. It doesn't really bother me, these jumping stats on debut. And the other thing to bear in mind is this will be Majborough's 6th start under rules, something like that. He's got loads more improvement to come. Lodersud's been around the block, knows his stuff, not done a lot wrong. But I think much like 2 years ago, John Bond went for the Kingmaker at Warwick and nearly got chinned by Calico. I think it was Calico.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think Lodersud left his Arkle in the Warwick mud myself, and I just can't really see it. The only way I could see Majborough getting beat is if it was quick ground, which it's not going to be. Because I think on quick ground he might be vulnerable, but he's not. Everything else is playing for places. Only by night, I can sort of see the case, but she's not in Majborough's league. And in a year's time, they'll be hoping Only by Night stays 2.5 mile to run in the mare's chase. She won't be anywhere near a grade 1, whereas Majborough will be, well, who knows, one of the 3 grade 1s, whichever route they choose to go. He should probably be 2 to 5 in my head.
Even if we get a heat wave between now and the Cheltenham Festival, which is highly unlikely, they'll just get those planes from America that they drop in the forest fires and they'll douse Cheltenham because they're terrified of fast ground. So it's going to be soft ground on day 1. Maybe it'll be a little bit better on day 2, but that's highly unlikely. And the last 3 years have been running a bog on the second day. So he's a good thing. He's an absolute stone cold certainty. Cue me playing this back and the review going, how did we get it so wrong? The Brown Advisory Novices Chase, Ballyburn is the 15-8 favourite for the Cheltenham Festival for the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Now, if I told you could get 15-8 about him going into Cheltenham last year, you would almost certainly have snapped my hand off. But does the team feel the same way about him over fences? Adam Mills, yes or no, Ballyburn?
No. I don't know. No-ish.
Kate?
No.
Deciding vote. And I already know which way this is going to go. Barry?
I feel exactly as Adam teed that up. No, because you, as much as...
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, no, I'm not with him. I'm not with him. No.
Yes. 1 out of 3. All right, Adam, why are you against Ballyburn in the Brown Advisory?
Well, I'm not against Ballyburn. I thought sort of after Christmas when he was 7-2, he was probably a fair bet. But I watched back the DRF. I've watched back the runs. I don't know. I'm not sure he's the superstar chaser that we all think he is. And I could just see Ballyburn making a mistake. I don't know why. It's just in my head about his jumping. I mean, if this was a hurdle race, he's miles better than these, but it's not. It's a jumping event. You've got to get around. There's a lot of fences to get over. I think there's a few to take him on with. Dancing City, I think he's just too slow. I mean, he wouldn't be on my list either. This is a race I'm quite keen to get stuck into. I really like Croke Park, and I don't think Croke Park has done anything wrong. And I think it's just because Croke Park wasn't that great over hurdles, and he's, if you're going to name a horse Croke Park, you better make sure he's good so that the Irish lads can get behind him. But actually, over fences, he's done not a lot wrong. Being beaten, Hartwood is a seriously good horse, and Croke Park's beaten him. I thought he ran really well at DRF. I think Cheltenham will suit him better. I'd much rather have an each-way swing on Croke Park and take my medicine if Ballyburn cruises past him than I would take the 15-8.
Okay. Kate?
Yes, I'm in agreement there with Adam. I just think Ballyburn, I think there's holes in his jumping. I don't think he's as rock solid as he was last year coming into the festival. Like last year, there was nothing that could ever possibly beat him. Like he was the complete banker of the week. Whereas coming into this year is like, he had an excuse bet over 2 mile by Sergino, but last year after the festival, people were calling for him to go for the champion hurdle because they thought he was fast enough. I think people forget that. But he's too slow over 2 mile, but he wasn't too slow over 2 mile last year. So I don't know. I just don't think he's taken defences as well as he did to hurdles last year. And I just think there's a little bit of a hole in him in the jumping department. I just think he might be vulnerable if he made a mistake. Like, let's be honest, he is the best horse in the race by far. But you have to jump, and I'm in agreement. I think Croke Park 12-1 is worth more of a shot. I think he's done nothing wrong this year, and like Adam said, these horses they're generally better over hurdles or better over fences. They're not going to be outstanding over both. They're always going to be better over one than the other. And I think Croke Park is what's happened to him. He's just a better chaser than he was a hurdler, and I think Stella Story at 20-1 for me. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. I really like him for this. I think I think his jumping has improved. I think he got slammed a bit too much for his jumping. And if you actually look at the data, he's actually one of the better jumpers. I think his stats were actually better than, if I remember correctly, when I was looking at it a couple of weeks ago. And I just think he could sneak into it. I don't think his jumping is as bad as it is. I think Danny Gilligan might just retain the right. He get on very well with him. I just think 20-1, I think he might have a little shout.
Okay. 20-1 with Jeff Banks bet, but 12-1 elsewhere. There was a little bit of talk, Barry, that Croke Park wasn't going to go to Cheltenham. I find that to be bizarre. Gordon was talking about him going down the intermediate route, but this is all about Ballyburn. I'm a massive believer in Ballyburn, but you are like Adam and Kate. You're a doubter.
I loved him last year as a novice hurdler. I mean, I would have had him, I'd say he was close to banker of the whole festival of hurdles. And if you were to tell me after Cheltenham last year that on his Cheltenham to run in a Brown advisory over 2.5 miles at Leopardstown, Croke Park would have jumped the last ahead of Ballyburn, I would have laughed at you. I mean, Croke Park for me, I'd say now Adam and Kate, he'll be leading out the Ward Hunt Union for Keith Donoghue in about a year's time. I cannot have this horse for a grade 1 around Cheltenham over fences, genuinely. I know he's named well and all the rest. Stellar Story is definitely interesting. Loved the way he came up the hill last year. And if you actually look at the Albert Bartlett last year, Jukebox Jury, was it Dancing City?
Yeah.
Stellar Story, the first 3 home, where actually the ground was absolutely bottomless on the Friday. And the first 3, the whole way around, the most prominent runners actually finished 1, 2, and 3. Lecky Watson, however, no cover throughout the race, tanked coming down the hill, 2 free. He's after growing up plenty now, and he's unbeaten over fences. He would be my, do you know what? He's my each way selection in the race at 10-1. I think he was placed in a champion bumper at an absolutely massive price. He grade 1 form over hurdles last year heading into the festival, form behind Slade Steel. He's beaten the supreme winner over fences, albeit Slade Steel is chasing life's greatest mysteries. But I actually think Lecky Watson 3 miles over fences on the was actually the old course at Cheltenham. He's forming the old course, obviously, in the champion bumper. I just think he jumps very, very well. He's an improved animal over fences, and he's won at double figures. He's still 10-1. I would be surprised if he was still double figures on the day. Of the Gordon Elliott lot, I mean, for me, the Stellar Story is definitely the one that's been underestimated. If you're looking for one that's rock solid, that'll run his race, that'll be bang there, it's probably Dancing City. But Lecky Watson, for me, I just think there's a lot more to come from him over fences. I like the way he's jumped on his 2 starts, and I think 10-1, he's the each way value.
This is what I love about racing, and I really respect the 3 of your opinion. I respect all opinions in racing. That's what it's all about. But you're talking about Dancing City and Croke Park and Stellar Story and Lecky Watson. The class act of this race is Ballyburn, and I think class will out. And so he's just going to go and win. That's the very simplistic way I'm going to say it right now. We'll go into more detail in upcoming podcasts, but there has to be a lone voice. I can't believe that we're on a 4-team podcast going into the Cheltenham Festival, and I'm the only one saying that Ballyburn's going to win. I'm going to get some satisfaction when he comes flying up.
I would not rule out him landing on his backside now. He doesn't jump well, Emmet.
Barry. No. The most satisfying 13-8 victory that you can get at Cheltenham will be holding mad tough. Hold the line. Keep the faith. We'll just very, very briefly go through the couple of novice handicap chases because the Jockey Club have changed things. So no more grade 1s, no more grade 2s. We're into handicap company. So very quickly, Jaguar for the Jack Richards novice handicap. He is the 11-2 favourite with Jeff Banks bet. Yes or no, Adam?
Yes.
Kate?
No.
Barry?
No, not for me.
Yeah, no for me as well. But that's really a price thing. Why so confident, Adam?
Sometimes you just look at the JP team and think they're. I can just imagine Frank Berry in the bunker back in last June going, right, if we understand the rules for the novice handicap chase before everybody else, that'll give us an edge to line one up. I just think I've been absolutely lined up for this. I'll take the 11-2 quite happily. If I can get an each way price, he'll be in the 3 or 4. His form's solid enough. And I do suspect probably have campaigned him for the grade 1 if they'd wanted to, but this looks like a long-term plan. I'm quite happy to stick with it, mainly because I don't fancy anything else.
Now, you might just have persuaded me to go to your team there, actually, because that was a damn good sales pitch there, Adam. So I might actually have done a complete about turn and switched to Team Jaguar. The National Hunt Novices Chase, now is the hour, is the 100 to 30 favourite with Jeff Banks bet. Yes or no, Adam?
No.
Barry?
No.
Kate?
No.
No from me as well. I'm all over Haughty Color, and I'm still trying to figure out which race. I'm still trying to figure out which race Johnny Who is going to go for. I'm very intrigued by him. But Barry, just briefly, we'll expand on Haughty Color. You and I were talking about him the other night.
Yeah, I like him now. He's a lovely profile for the race. Obviously, his course form. Won. Rebecca Curtis actually, when he won at Cheltenham, was it over 3 mile the last day? Prior to his hurdles prep run for Cheltenham.
Handicap run, yeah.
She actually put him in the same breath as O'Whalen's boy, and she said that she wouldn't rule out actually going down the Brown advisory route. And I just love his profile for the race. I mean, if she's putting him up there in that category, to win the race before, obviously new conditions this year. But I think Rebecca Curtis did win the race, the National Hunt Chase with, was it T for 2 or T for 3? I can't remember which, but she won the race anyway in the past. Staying chasing division, she knows how to get one ready for a race like this. And Sean Bowen, obviously, we're not looking at amateurs now for the race. He's a big plus. That could be probably his best chance of the entire meeting. And I just loved this prep the last day of the hurdles. Haughty Color, that was at Newbury. And I say he'll be absolutely spot on for the day. The actual danger, Emmet, I don't know about you, but I thought transmission was really an eye catcher in that particular race. My worry with him, well, not my worry, but I think if you're to take the two horses, I've no doubt who's the classier animal, and I've just sided with the class here. Transmission, I think, is a slight danger to him, but Haughty Color, I think there's a lot more to come. And off his current mark, he's a really ideal profile for the race, so I'm keen on him very much so. Yeah,
I agree. I thought he ran a real cracker, but Haughty Color, we're not exactly making millions with him now. He keeps shortening in the betting, but I think he's going to take a whole lot of beating. It was JT McNamara who gave T for 3 a brilliant ride. God rest him. What a talent he was in the saddle, and he was ice cool on him. You couldn't touch that horse, and he didn't. It was a brilliant ride from him. All right, we're going to switch to the Grade 1 class horses and go to the hurdlers, and this brings us to the Champion Hurdle. So there's going to be a little bit of an overlap here. We'll go Champion Hurdle and then Mayor's Hurdle because there's multiple runners for both. Right now, the betting with Jeff Banks bet is the former champion who bids to become the first horse since Hurricane Fly to regain his Champion Hurdle crown, Constitution Hill, the 6-4 on favourite for the Champion Hurdle from Brighter Days Ahead. I think she's going to go 4-1. Lossiemouth, they say it's been a 2-year plan. Why is she entered in the Mayor's Hurdle then, Willie? 11-2, and the reigning champion, State Man, is a 6-1 shot. So, for the former champion of this race, but the unbeaten Constitution Hill, who's got a racecourse gallop, which have always been a roaring success for him in the past tomorrow. So we're all going to be sweating for that one. Yes or no for Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle? Adam Mills?
No.
Kate?
No.
Barry?
No chance.
No chance! All right, straight to you on that. Why does the former champion and unbeaten champion hurdler Constitution Hill have no chance?
No, of course he's a chance. I made no chance to back him at 4-7.
Oh, okay, all right. Context is key.
Yeah. That's it. But I think the two mares will run. I think the two of them will run, and I think both of them getting £7. I think Lossiemouth will be the choice of Paul Townend, and I think Lossiemouth will win the race, and I think that's the way I see it. I genuinely think Constitution Hill, for him to get back to the level when he won the Champion Hurdle, it's going to be a big ask. He's 8 years of age. I was just actually looking, stats, and plenty of stats will be trying to. You mentioned Hurricane Fly. I think there's only ever been 2 horses to regain the Champion Hurdle. Comedy of Errors as well. Mm-hmm. Champion Hurdle as well. I mean, there's only been 3 8-year-olds in the last 18 years that have won the. My question is, I don't think Constitution Hill is probably improving. And the question is, £7 Lossiemouth. There was only 2 lengths between Lossiemouth and Constitution Hill at Kempton on ground that probably wasn't ideal for her. And I think the Close Sutton camp were adamant that she wasn't at her best that day. So if she wasn't at her best that day, 2 lengths of a Constitution Hill that was absolutely backed off the boards and that was off the track for how many days was he off the track heading into that
A year.
contest? He would have been properly drilled not to mortify Seven Barrows heading into that contest. And for her to get within 2 lengths, I don't buy the argument that she's not quick enough for two miles. I would have said she was a 2-miler all day long, heading into Cheltenham last year, after Cheltenham last year, and after Fairy House. You know, I just thought she was champion hurdle material all over. She's a bigger price now. What is she? 4-1. And
We can get
from the
11
start
to
of
2.
the season. Yeah, from the start of the season, I was looking at Brighter Days Ahead being, you know, the mare's hurdle horse, but I think they have to have a go now, don't they? I think they probably have to have a go, and all the vibes are she'll go this route. So, look, if you're asking me 4-7 Constitution Hill, I'm a definite no. 2 mares getting £7 against, 2 high-quality mares getting £7 against them at the age of 8. I'm very much against Constitution Hill at that price. I think Lassie Mouth will win the race.
So this betting is going to just radically transform, because we're going to go on the assumption that the 2 mares do go, and by the sounds of things, certainly what we're hearing on the grapevine, that is what's going to happen. Jade de Grugy has come out and won, so that's Paul Townend's mount for the mare's hurdle. This has been the plan for Lassie Mouth all along. I see no reason to deviate from that. It sounds like Brighter Days Ahead is going to go for it, and Constitution Hill, we know, is going for it, assuming he comes through his racecourse gallop okay. But why are you against him, Kate?
I just think, like, in agreement with Barry and Adam, like, it's not been smooth sailing. Like, he had a lot of problems. Having the problems that he had is quite difficult. I just think Bright Days Ahead, young legs coming up. She's had a brilliant season so far. I just think she was outstanding at Leopardstown, and I think he's going to have to be at his very best to even lay up with her. I just think she's very, very good, and I'd be surprised if Connections went to the mares with her now. I just think they'd be kicking themselves if Statement ended up winning this champion hurdle and she was running the mares. I think that'd be a big regret for them. I'm just looking at the Phil Sederi, who ran behind Constitution Hill and Bright Days Ahead. He was 8 lengths behind Constitution Hill and 32 lengths behind Bright Days Ahead. You know, if you're using that as a form line, Bright Days Ahead, if she's anywhere near at Leopardstown, she'd be very hard to beat.
And Adam, round it off for us.
Well, I don't think I want to take 4-6 Constitution Hill. He's probably only 4-7 to win the racecourse gallop at Kempton tomorrow. So you've got to just wait, let him come to the thing. You know, if you want to back him, just wait for the day. He won't be shorter. And right now, you know, there's still a debate with Bright Days Ahead. That the way I read it is Gordon is itching to have a go, and the O'Learys are the ones who are going, if we go to the champion hurdle and get beat, what else could we have that's going to be a winner at Cheltenham? Because she is their best chance for Cheltenham winner wherever she goes. I still think she lines up in this. I could just see, I can't see him giving both £7. I thought Lossiemouth ran no race at all at Kempton and got pretty close to him. Burdett Road was still in with a chance at the last, and then he's got done by Golden Ace at Wincanton. Suddenly there's a few holes in that form. I'm not sure that was the same Constitution Hill of 2 years ago. So I'd quite happily take him on. I mean, really, the horse who's the completely wrong price is State Man. He shouldn't be 6-1. He should be double figures. But if you're looking to have a bet in this, the each-way bet on the 2 mares is the better way to play it. And if you get beat, if Constitution Hill comes back to his best, then pat Nicky on the back and say, well done, son.
Well, this is another example of where price is key, because I am of the opinion that Constitution Hill, I've been wrong about him in the past, and sometimes you just have to eat your humble pie, which tastes vile, obviously. But he's 6-4 on with Jeff Banks' bet. You're getting 11-2 about Lossiemouth, and that's where this just seems completely wrong to me, because there's no way she liked Kempton. She didn't like a speed favouring flat track over 2 miles, where a horse considered good enough to take on Kyprios on Champions Day cuts out the running. And the fact that she was able to make up the ground on him towards the end of the race and actually get within 2 lengths of him would speak very highly in her favour. But then she's had that brutal fall. And I'm pretty sure she'd have beaten State Man, but she didn't. But she has the talent, and she's just too big a price. Brighter Days Ahead, yeah, very exciting horse, and good luck to them. But she's short enough now at the price she is. Jeff is going 4-1, which seems fair, and you could easily back her. But if he is the horse he once was, I think he wins. But I'd be more inclined to go with Barry.
It's a big if, isn't it?
It's in it. It's in it. I think it was Graham Cunningham said there's a lot of feeling in this race. There's a lot of people feel that Constitution Hill is not the same, and there's a lot of people who feel he is. But that's all it is. It's a feeling. There's no way of telling, is he really the same horse he once was? And Jesus.
Nicky looked. What about Nicky's reaction when he pulled down the goggles after Constitution Hill? Down at the start, actually, before the race even started, he looked like a man in a little bit of fear, and it was Phil Dudary was next to him in the market. So, like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
Why would you be afraid of Phil Dudary?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I thought that...
He looked terrified.
I thought Nico's reaction was sort of telling you that after he won the Christmas Hurdle when he lashes out at Paddy Brennan, which I loved. We need more personality in racing. But I thought that was telling you, we've been telling you all along this horse is still the horse he was and you wouldn't believe us. And now you know. That's what I thought it was. But again, it's feeling. It's not really based on factual evidence. You're leaning into this thing. And I don't know why he's going for another racecourse gallop. Like, why are you doing that? These things have not worked out well in the past. So,
Would he have got a reminder of the horse he was at Kempton? Fully drilled.
Yeah, that's another thing. He got two. He got two cracks of the shillelagh. But it was his first run of the season, so I wasn't expecting to get 11-2 about Lossiemouth.
If that's Constitution Hill of Old, he comes home on the bridle there.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Don't think he was ever off the bridle before, was he really?
not that I can recall. And Brentford Hope didn't exactly do much for the form on his last start, and he'd been trained for that race, the King Will. So suddenly there's questions. All right, 3 of the team against Constitution Hill. I will be the one to wave the flag in his defence. We'll go for the Mare's Hurdle, and we're going to use this through the prism of Jade de Grugy, because none of us think Brighter Days Ahead is going to line up for this race. She is the 6-4 favourite with Jeff Banks bet, but in her absence, Jade de Grugy would be significantly shorter than the 3-1 she is now, and I suspect she will be Paul Townend's mount and favourite for the race. So, Jade de Grugy, yes or no for the Mare's Hurdle? Adam Mills.
No.
Kate.
Yeah.
Barry.
No.
Yes. All right. Adam, why no?
I'm not convinced she wants 2.5 miles. She's got bags of speed in France. Last year's race is sticking in my head. You know, I'll never be able to look at Paul Townend in the eye, but that's just the way it goes. But we'll forget about that. I wasn't sold by that performance the other day. I thought it was a pretty average race. She got home all right. She did all she needed to do. She'd obviously come on for the run. But there are some very good mares in here, and I think the July Flower Carla Conti form from Christmas is pretty solid. Henry's team seem to be coming back to a bit of form. Carla Conti always runs a good race. I just thought there was a bit of value against her. And one thing I will say, July Flower stays all day. She's placed in a French champion hurdle. She's got lots of experience. I could see Jade de Grugy tanking into it at the top of the hill and then not finding a lot. So I'd rather take her on. I'd imagine if Brighter Days Ahead comes out, Jade de Grugy is going to be in the 7-4 kind of bracket. That's far too short for me.
Yeah, she's not that yet, though, so we can take 3-1 now, which is the reason I'm with her. If she does go to that kind of a price, then it's a different conversation entirely. And I can say, I was talking to close personal friend Willie Mullins, Clang, name drop, at Punchestown, and he was adamant that she was going to need the race. Things hadn't been easy with her in the build-up, and he was very confident that the Ted Walsh horse was going to win. So I think they were pleased with that, more than pleased, actually, with that performance, and it was probably a better performance than you can give her credit for, and she will improve immeasurably for it. So, look, I'm with her. Kate, why are you with her?
Yeah, I think she was impressive on return after a year's break on, soft ground. I think she'll improve for that run. I think if you look back to her form, Spindleberry is behind her, and looks very good over fences this term. I think the form's there. I forgive her for Cheltenham. I think Jack and Paul were too busy looking at each other throughout the race, seeing what they were doing, and then forgot about the others in the race. I think that's definitely. I think it would have been a different outcome. But I think I'm keen on her. I am in agreement with Adam. I think July Flower is very, very interesting. Her French form looks really strong. She's had one run in Ireland, and 6-1 looks a nice price. I think she's very interesting. The pair of them, Jade de Grugy and July Flower, are the two for me in that.
Okay. I like July Flower as well. I think Gala Marceau would be interesting back after the benefit of a prep run, and she'll surely improve for that. But Barry, you're against Jade de Grugy, so you're with Adam. Why?
Yeah. I loved her last year. Actually, was really disappointed with her effort, finishing effort at Cheltenham last year, heading into the Mayor's Novice. And actually, unlike Adam, I actually think she's probably going to be a better mare over 2.5 miles. But she didn't blow me away now the other day. And there is, there's obviously a short gap. I know, was it Annie Power? Won the Quevega before going on to win at the festival. I don't know. She didn't blow me away. I could see her going off short. Actually, could see her going off, 6-4, the 2 that we spoke of for the champion hurdle, Brighter Days Ahead, and lost him out, go the champion hurdle route. But July Flower, she does have a really interesting profile. And I liked what she done, beating Conti, who had a rock solid form last year, of course, as a juvenile. And, her form in France, I think she's ground versatile, July Flower, as well. Ground isn't going to be an issue. And a stat maybe against, I thought this is an interesting trend against Jade de Grugy. That's 9 of the last 10 winners have 8 career starts. She hasn't had a whole pile of racing. And I just wonder, experience-wise, might she lack a little bit for a race like this? And that's, I think 9 of the 10 winners, as I said, that's had at least 8 career starts. I think the exception was Lossiemouth, but I'd just be marginally with July Flower. It wouldn't be a massively strong opinion, Emmet, but she has a very interesting profile for sure.
Yeah, very much so. And her performance against Conti was red hot. Adam and I have been talking about Anzadam, who unfortunately is out for the season quite a bit, and she beat Conti just like Anzadam did. So that's form you got to take very, very seriously. And Henry de Bromhead's horses are coming back into form, and we know he's got a brilliant record at Cheltenham. We shall switch to the Stayers Hurdle, and a horse that Kate and I debated about, thought about, went to war about last year. One of us was right. One of us had to eat humble pie, and somehow wasn't made to do it on the podcast. We're talking Teahupoo, the good thing of the Cheltenham Festival last year for one of us. For the other, he became the lay of the festival. One of us was right, the other was wrong. The fact that I'm taking so much glee in this, can you work out which side of the fence I was on? Teahupoo as the even money favourite for the Stayers Hurdle to retain his crown. Adam Mills, yes or no?
Yes.
Reluctantly. Kate?
Yes.
Oh, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team. We hold no grudges, Kate. You are more than welcome on board Team Teahupoo. The woman who looked after the racehorse and was all about him for the champion hurdle a couple of years ago and was telling everybody this is an absolute superstar, but for some reason went cold on him last year. Barry?
Yes.
All right. Why are we so bullish that Teahupoo is going to retain his crown in the Stayers Hurdle, Adam Mills? Is it just because he is quite simply the best horse and this is the perfect preparation for him?
I just think he's solid. He's going to get his ground. He's achieved more than most of this field. I wouldn't back him at even money. I'll just applaud him and let him win, but he does run his race. Really, if Davy Russell got his fractions a bit better, he'd be chasing a hat-trick in this race. So that's... Get that knife in for you. I mean, there is one in that's the wrong price. Rocky's Diamond is 20-1. If he runs,
good man, Adam.
He shouldn't. Form. That Irish form is pretty good. The form from the Galmore is pretty good. He hasn't done anything wrong. If he was trained by Willie Mullins, it'd be 6s. He's 20-1. If he turns up, that would probably be my play on the day. But I suspect Teahupoo is the good horse in a bad bunch.
Yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it, Kate. He's the proper Grade 1 horse who will run his race. There's a couple of horses in there that are Grade 1 class on their day, but can you actually trust them to run their race? Kate?
Sorry, I didn't say. I think this is actually a better race than we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. I don't think he's going to get it as easy as... I think Home by the Lee is really strong this year, and I think people are overlooking him. Connections seem to think that they rode him all wrong last year, and they know how to ride him this year. And he's looked a completely turned around horse this year. I don't think you can dismiss him, especially the way Joseph is producing horses now at the big festivals. Like 6-1 is a big price for him, and arguably, he's probably had a better season than Teahupoo so far. Like, he's done nothing wrong. I think the Wall Park adds a bit of interest there. I think likely he'll go here, not the per temps. I think he's very, very interesting. Rocky's Diamond as well. And I think Mystical Power, 25-1.
Yeah.
Very, very similar profile to Teahupoo. Struggled in 2 mile open company. I think 3 miles could be the key to him. And I think 25-1 is just way too big. Yeah, he's finished last in both his open company 2 mile starts. So did Teahupoo. Look what happened to Teahupoo when he stepped at 3 mile. This horse crying out for a trip. He looked like he wanted a trip last year over hurdles. All he looked like was going to be a stayer. He's bred to be a stayer. I just think 25-1, he might just turn up here.
I'll go on better for you. You can get 33-1 about Mystical Power with Jeff Banks bet, and this is his target. And we've seen this before. Ingoldsdriver back in the day, suddenly Nicholas Canyon stepped up to this. Boom. On he goes and wins. Barry, it's all about Teahupoo though. Yes, no, Teahupoo. You are yes. Why?
I really loved them heading in last year into the festival, and I don't see a reason to come off them now. I suppose the ground has been a big thing with Teahupoo, hasn't it? People have spoken about the ground. Does he want it a little bit softer? His form actually on yielding ground. He's ran well on decent ground. I don't know. Grounds. If the ground is soft, I'd say he's absolutely bomb-proof. Rocky's Diamond, I do agree with Adam there. I mean, what he'd be having just his 7th start of a hurdles and a stairs hurdle. Like, there's loads of upside with him. He's 5 years of age. Does he have a kind of a similar profile to Flooring Porter? Heading down the stairs route. I like him each way, Rocky's Diamond. And the other one, Kate mentioned, I'm glad to hear you giving Mystical Power a big talking up, because I thought if there was one at a massive price, 25-1 Mystical Power, I actually thought he looked like a stayer last year. I was surprised they didn't go maybe the 2.5 novice race at the festival. I'm surprised they went 2 miles. Annie Power, of course, she finished second, didn't she, in the stairs hurdle. The intriguing one for me is definitely is where's the ceiling with him. But at the moment, Teahupoo, no reason to oppose him, even money. He's rock solid. He's by far at this point in time the best in this division, and he goes well fresh.
So we're into Cheltenham preview season. The preview nights are on. There's loads of different podcasts are talking their talk about Cheltenham. I said this a year ago. I'll say it again. Talk that shit. I can use profanity now that we're an hour into this on YouTube. Talk that shit. Keep underestimating Teahupoo. Keep saying how his form is overrated. Keep talking about how, it's not an ideal prep. He's going to crush this lot. He's going to absolutely crush them. And if 10-year-old Home by the Lee
on his 30th start
is beating Teahupoo, then nah. Ain't no way, son. Ain't no way. This is real simple.
That has no chance, Emmet. Absolutely no chance.
None. Zero. Keep it simple, stupid. Teahupoo. Absolute stone cold solid moral. Many people will think that John Bon is a stone cold solid moral for the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Maybe he would have won it last year, but if buts and maybes don't win you Cheltenham races, he wasn't there. He will be there this year. He is the 10-11 favourite with Jeff Banks bet. So yes or no, Teahupoo in the Queen Mother Champion Chase at a Mills?
Yeah.
Teahupoo.
Yeah, you threw me. You can't say Teahupoo. He's not going to win over 2 miles.
Did I say Teahupoo?
Yeah.
John Bon. What am I talking? Do you know what? Teahupoo would win the Champion Chase and the stairs. He'll win it all. Adam is not a Teahupoo fan and reluctantly has to go for him. John Bon in the Champion Chase.
Firstly, Falem would have murdered.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
John Bon, yeah, just about.
Kate?
Yeah, I think yes, but I think there's another one there of more interest.
Okay. Barry?
No.
Yeah, I'm no as well. Let's get the one you think is more interesting, Kate.
I just think Solness at 11-1, he shouldn't really be that price for what he's done this season. He's been very impressive. I just don't think you can really ignore how he's kind of stamped his authority in this division. His cruising speed, is that enough to get John Bon under pressure? I don't know, but the way he put these to bed on this latest start, like, you just can't ignore that. I think John Bon, he's a classy horse, but I think Solness just adds a little bit of spice into this race, and I think he'll make it interesting.
Solness is one of the reasons I'm against John Bon, because he is going to be very difficult to peg back from the front. Now, there is the possibility that Ile Francais lines up in this race, bursts off, makes all, and that could be a problem for Solness. Adam, why are you with John Bon?
I want to be with Solness. I do want to be with Solness, but I suspect they're going to run Ile Francais here. And firstly, what are they doing? Idiotic decision, in my view, but that's up to them. But I just think Solness and Ile Francais are just going to take each other on. And if they take each other on, they're probably going to burst each other by, because Ile Francais has to lead. I won't make a comment about him being like the wife, but he is moody, and if something comes up on his side, he doesn't like it. And every time he gets beat and every time he makes a mistake, it's because he's got a horse next to him. So if Ile Francais goes, he's got to lead. So James Reevely knows, I've got to get the revs up no matter what. And even if someone's doing 40 miles an hour, I'll have to go 42. I've got to burn him off. If that happens, I'd be worried for Solness as to quite what will happen. We know Ile Francais stays further than Solness does. I don't fancy him, and I just think Nico de Boinville must look at this race and think, go on, off you go. I'll just sit 3 lengths off you. And then when you two get to the bottom of the hill and your petrol gauge is on empty, I'll come past you. If you look at this market, if you assume that I'm right and there's a pace burn up between Solness and Ile Francais and they don't get there, Gaelic Warrior, you need Conkers of Steel to back him in his current form. Marine Nationale, I still think there's a big racing in one day, but I don't think it's this. Energumene is never going to reverse the form. And then we're into horses who can't possibly win. I know the Champion Chase has a record of odds-on favourites getting turned over, but this is surely going to set up absolutely perfectly for John Bon, and he will never get a better chance.
I can't really argue with any of that, Barry. That being said, there was Sire de Grugy all those years ago, and people said, he doesn't go at Cheltenham, he doesn't handle Cheltenham, he can't win the Champion Chase, and then he just goes and wins because he's the best horse in the race. Aidan Coleman is adamant that John Bon's not the same horse at Cheltenham. And he'd know him better than most people would. And we're talking about price. It's a price thing. And I know there's going to be a number of people they'll go on your podcast as well, and they'll say, but he deserves it. He deserves it. You don't get a race at Cheltenham because you deserve it. You get it because you're the best horse in the day. I'm not so sure this is going to go his way.
Yeah, he's very, very likeable, in fairness, and I've probably never had a cent on him in his entire career. But 17 wins from 20. What is he, 11 grade ones now? But I disagree with Adam, given Energumene absolutely zero chance of reversing the form. The ground was good at Ascot, and it was at Ascot. This is Cheltenham, and Energumene needs soft ground. And he's 11 years of age, but he's a lightly raced 11-year-old. And I just think I have visions of the Champion Chase, his first Champion Chase that he won, where actually I was so surprised at the tactics that day. And Paul just dropped them in. If the heavens did open, he'll definitely be single figures. I just think he's been underestimated. Obviously, the form with Banbridge over 2 miles. Banbridge was going to give him a big race, but he's gone on to win the King George. Obviously, that was over 2 miles. The King George is over 3. Return by Energumene. And I just think different track, different ground. 6 lengths, I think, is reversible. And don't forget, Energumene was beaten in 2 Clarence House chases before going on to win the Champion Chase. Yeah. So he's been underestimated. I actually think it's Energumene in a match bet against Solness. I know who I'd be backing, regardless of the ground. He's just a better animal than him. Marine Nationale, he's been disappointing over fences. Gaelic Warrior, could not touch him. El Fabiolo doesn't jump well enough, and Ile Francais, I think, will go to the Ryanair. So Energumene, obviously 10-1 at the moment. If there was any soft in the ground whatsoever, and I'm talking good to soft as well, I'd give him a chance of reversing the form with John Bon at Cheltenham.
I'd be pretty certain Ile Francais will go for the Champion Chase, and part of the reason for that is his connections keep talking about how they don't want to take on Fact to File, which means they're happy to take on John Bon. Do you want to expand on that, Adam?
Well, I don't. I know George is brilliant. His work with social media is better than any other French trainer. But he will also tell you that every single horse in the yard has the potential to be Cato Star, and they don't. I'm not their race. Paul has never phoned me and said, Adam, what do you think? Because I'd be looking at Ile Francais and thinking, Cheltenham, let's go to Aintree. Flat track, we can dominate a really weak grade 1 and we'll win it. It's just madness. But I did hear them say that they wanted to avoid Factor File. I think they think the old course suits a front runner a bit better. But I think you don't just look at the course, look at the opposition. And your horse is a bit suspect if he gets competition for the lead. And Solness only got one way of running.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, it swings and roundabouts because they could end up in the Ryanair. If Matata's in that, they'll have the exact same problem. So it's very difficult for them. I don't know. In my head, he should just be going to Aintree, but I'm in a minority of one there. So
I mean, this is really about the favourites, but just to very brief you on Ile Francais, he's blown out twice. Good luck to you if you're backing him. Good luck to you. But no, doesn't interest me at all. I am with Energumene. If we get that soft ground, 10-1. 10-1 with Jeff Banks bet.
It's an absolutely insane price.
10-1 about a horse that was rated 176.
What do? You have to hold them up, don't you?
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh yeah. Oh, let them tear off and set the pace for you and set it up for you, particularly on soft ground. Paul Townend surely on board. Don't want to be anywhere near that Gaelic warrior.
Let him use his jumping to jump himself into contention, and let the rest of them kill each other up top.
I can't wait. That's going to be a cracking race. Oh man, what a race! Ile Francais can win it, by the way, and so can John Bon. But I'm against him. Kate and Adam are with him. Barry's against him. I think Barry's right, but that's because I think I'm right. To the Ryanair chase, fact to file. Will he, won't he? If he does, he is the 7-4 market leader with Jeff Banks bet. So that's the horse we're going to base this on. It sounds as though, Kate, if you were to guess, do you think fact to file will go Ryanair?
Yeah, I think it's the right race for him.
Yeah.
I don't think the Gold Cup this year is the right race for him. Maybe in time, but just not this year. He's too much speed.
Okay, yes, no game show. Fact to file, yes or no, Kate?
Yeah. Yes.
Adam?
No.
Barry?
No.
I'm yes, just to even things up. Adam, why no?
I just want to take him on. I'm not sold. I don't think that Brown Advisory form was very good from last year. Galopin Des Champs put him in his place. Now, there's nothing wrong with being put in your place by Galopin Des Champs. There are hundreds of horses who've been put in their place by him. But I'm not convinced coming back in trip is going to solve the problem. I just worry about what Factor File really finds in the grit of the finish. Now, that being said, I'm then starting to think, what would I take him on with? But I'm quite happy to stick with Protectorat. I was really impressed by what he did at Windsor. The form with Jello looks really strong. He won this race last year. I just like him. I just think he's better than an 8-1 shot. And with Factor File, I've just got this kind of nagging doubt of like, is it that he doesn't really stay as well as Galopin? Or is it that he's not that great off the bridle? 7-4 for that type of horse wouldn't interest me. There's a little part of me that thinks I should back Gaelic Warrior for this race because I just think he might come back to it, but I'd want bigger than 4-1 and I probably won't get it. So for that reason, I'd stick with Protectorat each way.
Okay. Why are you with him, Kate?
I just think last year I was hoping he went for the Turners.
Oh, Kate, don't remind me, please, no.
I thought that was but he didn't end up there. But like Adam said, I don't think he found much off the bridle over 3 Mile. I was just putting it down to the trip 3 Mile, but you can't knock that John Durkin form. Like he would have needed that run first time out this season, and I just think 2.5, 2.5. I think he's just so much cruising speed. I think he'd be difficult to beat. I think he's classy. And the only other one you probably have to worry about is Bland's Tower. But I was of the opinion that he'd actually want to go back out in trip. I wasn't too sure if I would suit him, but Connection seemed to think so. But Bland's Tower would be the other one that I'd keep an eye on. But I think Factor File has just got that class.
Yeah, I agree. It's the class angle for me. But Barry, you're against him.
Yeah, I think Adam is more or less said everything that I was thinking. Like, I mean, I was disappointed with him, I have to say, in his last 2 runs. I know it's Galopin Des Champs. I know it's coming back and trippy. To me, I don't think he ran last year at the festival, even though he still won. I expected him to be a little bit more impressive and open up maybe more than he did over 3 miles. I do see him as a 3 miler. I don't think he's a 2.5 miler. I think the race is a little bit more deep here. I had it down the Lille Francais might go to the Ryanair chase. That was my thinking. Obviously, Protectorat, Adam mentions, when he's good, he's very, very good. When he's good, he's top class. And Dan Skelton did say that, he's never seen him in better shape. He was absolutely brilliant at Windsor. His jumping, his performance in the Ryanair last year was up there probably with his performance, was probably a better performance than what he put up when he was absolutely unreal in the Betfair chase a couple of seasons ago. I know he's had plenty of racing. 2.5 miles, though, I think it's his thing. Let him rock and roll. And I think he's at the price of 7-1, 6-4. I'd be with him. And Jungle Boogie, I think, is an interesting runner. Could outrun his odds as well at 16-1. He's extremely likely raced for his age. I'm siding with all the pensioners here, Emmet. Jungle Boogie, Protectorat, and an Ergamine. But I genuinely think at the prices. And I would be fascinated if El Fabiolo went for the Ryanair over the Champion Chase. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I think it would help his jumping, stepping up and trip. I think the new course would suit him better. And 2.5 miles, even though he fell on a slow start this season, I still think he'd be interested in over 2.5 miles at Cheltenham.
Yeah, he was supposed to run at the weekend, didn't. Apparently, they're making a decision about whether or not he goes to Cheltenham in the next few weeks, and it might just be better for him to go for this race now instead. You mentioned Jungle Boogie. I'm quite interested in a couple of Henry de Bromhead horses, but not him. Heartwood, from the point of view of he's young, he's classy, he might be really suited to this race, and he's still a big old price of about 25-1. And the other is Envoyalen, who's in pension stage, but he was second in this race a year ago. He's best fresh. He's got an incredible Cheltenham record, including winning this race 2 years ago, second to Protectorat last year. Yeah, it'll be hard for him to turn the form around with him, but he's 25-1, so you're getting pretty decent compensation in that regard. That being said, I'm with Factifile, and I think he will just outclass them. I think he's the horse that can be a 170 horse. The others are 165. So I'm hoping that Mark Walsh times it right, gets him there, and then he can challenge for a Gold Cup a year later. Speaking of the Gold Cup, well, it was going to be the race of the season. It was going to be the race of the decade. They've all fallen by the wayside. All the challengers have been broken in one way or another by Galopin Des Bordes, who bids to become only the 5th horse in the 100-year history of the Gold Cup to win the race 3 times. And he is the 15-8 on favourite with Jeff Banks bet to do so. Adam Mills, Galopin Des Bordes, yes or no?
Yep.
Barry?
Yep.
Kate?
Yeah.
This is easy. He just wins. He just wins. He's bomb-proof. He's tactically versatile, Touchwood. He jumps well. He'll just outclass them, Adam.
Oh, yeah. There's no... I just don't. You're getting 8-15 on whether he gets round is the way I would see it. I think it's a bit harsh on Banbridge because I think Banbridge is a clear second best in this field. I think he'll stay the trip, but he won't stay with Galopin Des Bordes. And then after that, you're starting to look and thinking most of these at this stage should be in the Kim Muir rather than the Gold Cup. So for me, it's just like, he's 8-15. There's part of me thinks that's probably a bit of value. At what point do I have to step in and think, well, I'll just throw Galopin in a few doubles because I cannot to take him on with. And it's a shame because at the start of the season, we had this sort of 5-way go at the top of the market and JP had all these runners and Galopin, once he got fit, just went, goodbye. And if they couldn't beat him in 3 miles at Leopardstown, they won't beat him over 3 mile 2 at Cheltenham. Banbridge has run a really big race in the King George. He's proved his stamina because Ile Francais went really hard. So for him to run him down was a real achievement. And I think Banbridge should probably be odds on to finish second. But those final 2 furlongs make a big difference. And as we've seen with the likes of Brave Man's Game, you can run massive race in the King George. And then you get to the bottom of the Cheltenham Hill and realise you've got to go further. And that's when the petrol gauge empties. So Galopin just wins this easily.
The only chance that Banbridge has of winning this race, Kate, is if it's good ground. And even if that happens, now that could compromise Galopin Des Bordes to a certain extent. But even if he did, in the unlikely event, get good ground, it's just hard to believe that he gets past Galopin.
I have a different look.
Oh.
What would your, if I know the way you're thinking was left in this race, what price would he be? He'd be second favourite.
Probably. That was an eye-catching run at the DRF.
Now that if you take Factifile out and run him in the Ryanair, all they've got left is Corbett Cross. He doesn't jump well enough. Would they possibly supplement? I know the way you're thinking for the Gold Cup.
Maybe. They've done it before.
I just think he's got a nice weight for the national.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think another one would do him any harm. And the fact that they now have, this time last year they were looking at 5 potential Gold Cup horses. Now they've nothing. Would they possibly supplement him for that? Like, you've got Cambridge 8-1. Like, you got to fill that void there somewhere.
Yeah, this is a weak race all of a sudden. Like as Adam was saying, this started off, and as I was saying at the beginning of it, the season was starting off with Factifile went favourite at one point. That this was going to be the age of the new second season chasers and which one was going to steal his crown, and he's just laughed at them in one way or another. Either they themselves have failed, or he has just beaten the ones that were better, and therefore the others aren't good enough. But I know the way you're thinking. I know the way you're thinking, Kate. And I know the way you're thinking makes sense to me. There is no current price about him. I'm checking one of the odds compiler, one of the odds comparison websites. So as I do that, Barry, your thoughts on Galopin de Champ and how it's really Galopin de champion, Galopin de Gold Cup 3 times. Thanks very much.
Yeah. I was all over him when he won the Martin Pipe double figures, and I haven't backed him since.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I've been trying to get him beat for the last 2 seasons, which, hold my hands up, got it wrong, and he's just burnt me. But I actually thought Corbett Cross is an each way bet. I know Kate said about his jump, and I actually thought he jumped a lot slicker at Ascot and ground. It probably wasn't ideal. I know it was the National Hunt Chase last season, 3 miles, 6 furlongs, but he absolutely crushed them. And I just thought if he was on the premises, if the ground was heavy on the Friday, what do you know? What best price Corbett Cross 20-1? There's a very good chance we'll have less than 8 runners in the Cheltenham Festival Gold Cup. You're getting 3 places at the moment. I thought, losing to Pictory over 2.5 miles on good ground around Kempton in a prep run, I don't know. Each way I thought maybe Corbett Cross for Emmet Mullins, who's an absolute genius. But I wonder, did Emmet even want to run the horse the last day? That'd be my thoughts. But anyway, he didn't run.
And he was sent off. He was sent off 7-4 favourite for that race as well, which is unusual, seeing as it was good ground over a trip probably short of his best, and against Pictory, who's won that race before and is almost unbeatable around Ascot. Kate, do you want to expand on that?
I was keen on as an each way bet before he ran. I know you could say it's back over 2.5 and his jumping would be under pressure, but I just didn't like the way he skewed in the air. That just really put me off. Whatever about him being careful, but that screams that he's not comfortable somewhere to me. And I just kind of, that had me kind of worrying then.
Did he do that, Kate, a couple of times last year? Is that just the shape he makes over his fences? I could be wrong now. Just the way he jumped last year, especially at Fairy House when he came down, wasn't it? Before Cheltenham, he was doing. It might just be,
it might just be that if he's under pressure over a short trip, then it's more obvious. But he was pretty good in Cheltenham last year. But Grade 1 standard, you need to be fairly slick now. And if anything's going to let him down, it'll be his jumping. But he might be a nice each way bet, because if you take Factifile out of it, Banbridge, if the ground's soft, you can take him out of it. There is actually not much in there, so yeah.
I think the fact that you're highlighting that there's a possibility that the McManus team would supplement, I know the way you're thinking, is...
I'm just looking at the betting, there's a complete gap there.
Yeah.
Do you know, and if Factifile runs in the Ryanair, there could be an opportunity there. He's obviously Grade 1 level, he was last year at fences, and he saved the trip for sure.
The last 2 Gold Cups have been run on soft ground. The 2 previous ones were run on good ground. So if you get good ground, then suddenly Banbridge is a massive player. But if it's the soft ground, he's not there. They won't run him. Yeah. There's no point.
It's there's nothing. I'm just looking at the fact that they had 5 potentials and now they've got 1 each way chance.
Yeah. And if Factor File goes for the Ryanair, that's the second favourite gone. If Banbridge doesn't run on ground that his wheels won't spin on, that's the third favourite gone. Now you're looking at Monty Star. If Monty Star finishes second, aren't you looking at, I know the way you're thinking, well, that was a mistake. We could have been second in the Gold Cup, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. They might not, like it might be too close to Aintree, but just from an owner's point of view, I'm sure they'd want to have a chance or something going there with the...
Gold Cup runs have been useful preps for JP McManus horses in the past for the Grand National, so I can see it.
Didn't
All right.
Didn't Hedge Hunter finish second in a Gold Cup before winning a national?
Yeah. Or was it that he was second
following year,
having won the Grand National? I think that was it.
Yeah.
I think it might have been that way. It could have been the other way around.
I think the fact that Aintree is only 3 weeks after Cheltenham this year would seriously put you off. If you've plotted one up for the Grand National, you'd be risking leaving it all behind. Personally, I'd be of the opinion, if Monty Star finishes second and don't run, the only regret JP McManus would have is not taking the 8 to 15 Galopin de Champs.
Why on earth did JP McManus run Corbett's Cross at Ascot and not in Coram Park? That's my question.
Yeah. I think that was absolute madness, and that Ascot Chase is just a graveyard for Cheltenham Festival form. And I didn't know.
To me now, anyway.
He was beaten after a fence. The minute you let Pictory dictate, you're going to get beat. It just seemed a bit of a strange decision. It's a right-handed track. It made no sense. But perhaps they looked at it and thought, Paul Nicholls' yard isn't going well and we could pick up a soft grade 1.
Or we want to sharpen up the jumping.
Could have been that. And look, it will benefit him, but that Goran race was very winnable, especially considering who won it. I mean, you and I were there, Barry. It was a 3-runner race, classic getaways, coming away with the prize.
They don't go as hard in Goran. He wouldn't have had to jump as quick, and maybe it was just sharpening up the jumping.
Yeah, possibly. The fact that they sent him off 7-4 favourite, I find interesting. 20-1 is the price available with Jeff Banks' bet about Corbett's Cross. Kate is less than enthused, but everybody's in agreement. Galopin de Champs, you may as well just start etching the name in the trophy now. How funny would it be if the engraver started doing that and then something catastrophic happened and he has to polish the name off? Is that even possible? How do you undo that? Start putting his name on the trophy now. 3 Gold Cups, and have Simon Holt doing the commentary, please. We're looking forward to it. We'll talk more about the Gold Cup in the coming days on the Final Furlong podcast. We'll race through a couple of horses very, very quickly for the handicaps, beginning with the county hurdle. So we'll start 2 miles and go up. McClory, yes or no? Adam Mills?
No.
Kate?
I think because I think he's better than his mark at the minute. I think there's more to come, but I'm going for the more battle. I don't know.
Barry?
Not in a race like that. I think, no, not for me. Not.
Yeah, not for me either. But again, it's just the nature of the race. And also, if Absurd gets into that race, then good night and good luck. Takes us to the Coral Cup, for which the current favourite is Kopek Des. First of all, Kate, who is Kopek Des?
I have no idea.
Nobody does.
They were about it than me.
Nobody does, and yet everybody's backing this horse. Adam Mills, who is Kopek Des?
Well, I don't bloody know. To be honest, right, if you saw my inbox, it would just be, how you doing, mate? Everything all right? Could you tell me about this horse that's now favourite? Handicap Clues? And I'm like, well, I don't really know. Look, he's got his mark because he's had enough runs in France, and the way the BHA system works, they take the French mark and they times it by 2. And this has gone from 1 or 2 people spotting this to it being a massive punt. But is he going to run in the Coral Cup? Would be my first bet. Willie Mullins' MO, if he had a really good novice in this kind of profile, would be Martin Pipe for 1. His French form is good. He beat Caram LaRouge. Zephyr de Beaumont finished 3rd on his last start. He ended last season finishing 2nd in a Grade 1 at Auteuil. So it's good form, and he's certainly worth that rating, if not a bit more. But if you're backing him on the basis of that, you are purely backing him on the basis that you think he's gone to Close Sutton and he's improved. And he's improved 7 to 10 pounds. I don't know whether he has or not. And last year, I thought they had a horse called Ocasio de Mott, had an absolutely identical profile, rocked up in the Betfair hurdle, thought he was a certainty. Des Bordes is still struggling to justify himself as a 130 horse. So for that reason, I couldn't touch him. The Coral Cup would not be a race I'd be in a rush to be punting anti-post anyway, but I don't want to back a horse with this profile at 8-1. And if he wins, then you just say, well done, Willie, good job.
Yeah, I copy, paste all of that. Barry?
No, it wouldn't be for me, Emmet. Not in a race like that either.
Martin Pipe. We've got him again, Kopek Des, and Wadu. Kate, yes or no? Wadu.
I think Wadu, yeah. I think she's pretty rock solid. Gordon likes to target that race with a very good chance, and I'd say she's probably his best. Just touching on the Coral Cup. Anyone's thoughts on Joya Machen for Dan Skelton?
Big eye catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam?
Has Jory Machen had ulcers this season? Does anyone know?
Quite possibly.
Was that a pre-planned comment, was it?
No. Sorry, Dan. My apologies.
No, he comes pre-prepared with instant quips. We don't need to be...
That was in the can, ready to come out as Emmet Dunphy would say.
Your thoughts on him, Barry?
Wadu?
Yeah, on Wadu and on Dan Skelton's horse, Joe Machen.
Yeah, I definitely have thoughts on Wadu. I think her form is absolutely rock solid, isn't it? The form is... I think, is there any race that's working out better than that mare's handicap at Cheltenham? Was it Trials Weekend? Can't remember. Joyu's bolted up since, obviously, in the Betfair. Speaking the Garden on the Champ podcast, heading into Dublin Racing Fest. Yeah, she was 16-1, and he just mentioned it out of the complete blue that was the target for Wadu. And I was, the ears pricked up when he said that, because obviously looking at her profile, she's still unbeaten, unexposed, etc. I like her. Thought Carafon maybe for Willie Mullins could be well handicapped in the race. That's 16-1 at the moment. But Wadu, as a favourite, I wouldn't be mad keen to take her on. And I think it's funny, actually, favourites have a terrible record in that race. I think Galopin the Champ, the only favourite to have ever won the Martin Pipe in his history.
Yeah,
I think she's solid enough, I think.
Now that's a stat to be concerned about, because if she goes for that race, there was talk of the Maris Hurdle for her, which kind of further emphasises Brighter Days Ahead will be lining up in the Champion Hurdle.
What about the Enabler, Emmet? What about the Enabler?
Now,
at a massive price.
That's a horse that Kate has talked about on the show in the past and was warning me about. Do you want to expand on him, Kate?
Yeah, I think he's probably not the most consistent, but I think there's a massive engine there. And it's just whether he'll turn up. But I think there is a big race in him.
He'd be the one I'd be most interested in at a price, the Enabler.
Okay.
The Enabler or Carla Conti, wherever she's, I don't know, I think, is she in the Coral Cup as well? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But she chased home some nice profiles this year, and I think she could be off a relatively okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping by the time you're watching or listening to this podcast, you may very well know what rating Carla Conti has already been given. I would be kind of hoping she goes for the Coral Cup, but we shall see. Let's go for the Fred Winter. Stencil is a short price favourite. I've heard a few people talking him up lately. So yes or no, French racing expert Adam Mills?
No.
Kate?
No.
Barry?
I like them, actually, yeah.
Okay. Let's find out why you like him, and then I want to hear why Adam doesn't.
Well, he's more of a French expert than I am, but I did like his form in France. I think there was a friend of mine once upon a time who was actually in Noel George's yard and said, this horse is an absolute beast. This horse is a finer looking horse than Il Est Francais. Keep my eye on him. And I did. I actually had a nibble on him for the Triumph Hurdle before a ball was kicked. And I just think I was disappointed to see him getting beaten in France in his penultimate run. And obviously the form behind East India Dock. He was tipping around that day coming over for I look at the place, and I would say that he's not a bad animal. So, that's my only. It's a race, Emmet, that I wouldn't be overly keen on, backing short prices in, but I wouldn't be massively against him. I don't think he's a bad animal, and I'd say he could be well treated.
Okay, I'm really interested to see what Mark Mercia gets. She's emerged from. Let's see, Kate's onto this. Nice. She stayed on really well from the race that is the best guide to the Fred Winter Juvenile Hurdle, and is an ex-French horse as well. So Adam will know her really well. But we're not. I don't know what the rating is yet. You may very well know this already. But Adam, why are you against Stencil? You don't think he'll come up the hill?
I'm just a little bit worried. I mean, but you shouldn't really listen to me because the two horses I backed for the Triumph Hurdle are both single figures in the betting for this, which shows you how well I've done with the French juveniles this year. My only doubt with Stencil is the two races he won in France were all about a typical sort of French juvenile hurdle where they plod round, they get to the second last, and then he just sprinted clear on the bridle, loads of speed. If it's a steadily run race, he's a really good thing. But the one time he got beat, Coeur d'Amour reversed the formula at Compiègne, and they just went hard. And when they went hard, he found nothing. And if it was soft, heavy ground, we know what the Boodles is, which is a cavalry charge. I would just be a little bit worried about his temperament. He's flatbred, he's by Massart. I'd be worried on a couple of fronts. One, what marks he going to get? And secondly, for me, there's always this risk, as there was last year, that there's one or two sitting here that have absolutely chucked in that haven't shown their hand. But pretty good race the other day. Thought that was a nice finish for her. If Mambo number 5 has probably blown his chance, they won't be coming here. But it is wide open. It's just a price thing for me with Stencil. I wouldn't want to be backing him each way. If you're going to back him win only, because I think he'll either prove a class above, which he might be, or he'll find this far too stressful and he'll fade out the back of the telly.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be favourably treated by the weights either. That's a race you need to be tend to be off a lightweight in. All right, let's do a speed round on some of the handicap chases, shall we? Ultima, we've got 3 at the top of the betting. Catadore, who we saw at the weekend, Krabilli, and Masaccio for Ella McNeil, who'll be on the show very, very soon. Adam Mills, any of those 3 in the Ultima, yes or no?
No, not for me.
Kate?
No, I want to wait to see what the weights similar with the Boodles. I'm quite intrigued to see what Mark Slurricane gets, so I'm going to have a good look at these weights when they come out and see.
Okay, we're going to have you on the show when those weights are out because we want all that gold info, Kate. Barry, for you?
No, I was actually taught Broadway Boy at a massive, off a big weight. I thought he's interesting. Back at Cheltenham, he's won there in the past. Not sure it was his running last time. I think reports have been positive. Did he have treatment on his knees or something? I'm not sure how ideal that will be, but it just wasn't his running the last day. And I just thought in what looks, I'm not entirely sure, Emmet, if there's one lurking here, the likes of a Corach Rambler, like down the bottom of the weights that could, be a stone plus well in. I'm not entirely sure it's that type of race this year. And Broadway Boy could actually run a big race carrying a big weight. So, yeah, I'd imagine he'd be carrying a big weight anyway. He could be carrying 11 stone 12 or something.
Yeah, it's going to be a different race as well with the handicap rule changes for novices coming into it. So I quite like him, Barry. Kim Muir, Sama Jest is the market leader with Jeff Banks Bet. Adam Mills, yes or no?
No, not for me.
Kate, those famous green and gold?
I don't know, to be honest. I think, is he just favourite because he's in those colours? If he wasn't in them colours, it'd probably be 20-1.
I think there's another horse in those colours that is much better suited to this race, and he's a much bigger price. No from me, as well as Kate and Adam. So it's on you, Barry. Yes or no, Sama Jest?
No, biggest handicap fancy of the week is in this race. 9 Graces for Barry Connell.
Go on, Barry.
Yeah, I like her. I think she was £10 lower over fences than her hurdles mark heading into the amateur national, wasn't it? Over 2.6 at Punchestown. The second was Prince Altar. We spoke to Philip Rotwell down at Gorham Park, and he thinks there's a big handicap in that horse on nicer ground in the spring. And the third was 5th in the race last year, Daily Present for Paul Nolan. I think on average she's even with. I'm not even sure she'll need the tax to even get into the race, but she's obviously going to get a couple of pounds. Hopefully the handicapper treats her well enough. But she's a very good jumper. I think she'll be suited by Cheltenham. She's not an over big mare. She, as I said, what is she now? £2 higher over fences than a hurdles mark now, based on her Irish rating. And so I just like her profile. Look, she's by Capguard, that he sire a Plutard to win it. You know, a French. You know, I think she'll have plenty of stamina. Basically, she's proven over 2.6. I don't think the extra 2 furlongs up the hill will have any problem. Would be any problem to her. And Finney Maguire, of course, has rode her as well, so he obviously knows the horse well. After riding her to victory, I thought she was in a completely different league. I thought she wouldn't do an absolute handstands at Punchestown, and £10 was more than fair.
Okay, I've got one for that race. He's a big price, but I want the handicap weights to be out first, and we've got Paul Ferguson on the show for a handicap special later this week on the Final Furlong podcast. So hold Mad Tough, but there's a big price horse in that race that you are going to want to know about, and it's coming very, very soon. The plate, we got Jaguar or Firefox. Adam Mills, yes or no for Jaguar and Firefox?
No, not for this race.
Kate?
No.
That was you knew from her instant reaction. If you're playing poker with Kate, you're basically going to be able to get a fair gauge as to which way she's going. Barry?
No, with the lack of novices in this race this year, Zil Rodolfo entered up in the race. This is going to be full of exposed 2.5 miles around Cheltenham. Really not going to throw up a horse that is under the radar. It'll probably have 3 1s beside its name or something.
Yeah, that's a fair shout.
No, I think there is a novice. I think there's a novice in here who might run. I'm kind of hoping he runs. Horse of Gavin Cromwell's called the Company Sergeant. Now, he's entered in the novice handicap as well, but he's very experienced. He's had 9 starts over fences, so he does qualify for this race. The yard are quite shrewd. I wonder if they might look at this and think, we're probably going to bump into too many in the novice handicap. But we are.
That's a pretty interesting point now.
We are in the plate, and we do qualify for the plate. The form of his 3rd place finish at Navan over hurdles has worked out all right. I don't know. I just got this inkling, and he won at Galway in a beginner's chase. You know, he's been quite well plotted out that they've been running him over hurdles like they were trying to protect the mark in January. And for that reason, I'd be really sneakily thinking that he's been plotted up. And if he's in the plate, I'd be quite sweet on him.
Ooh,
the Company
like
Sergeant. Get him in your tracker now. I will get a price for you about him for the plate in a couple of minutes. The final race we're going to talk about is, well, we'll do 2 actually. Very, very briefly. Grand Annual, Liberty Hunter is the 10-1 market leader with Jeff Banks bet. Yes or no, Adam?
Yes, I think yes.
Ooh, okay. Kate?
No.
Barry?
You broke up, Emmet. What was the horse?
Liberty Hunter.
Oh, I wouldn't rule him out now.
Okay.
I would say I'd be on the fence. Probably no, because of the nature of the race, but I wouldn't rule him out.
The Company Sergeant is 20-1 for the plate with Jeff Banks bet. Does that appeal to you, Adam?
Yeah, but he's look at his profile. He's not going to be some plunge gambling to 3. So he's got 3 entries. He's in the Coral Cup too. So you have got to wait, but double figures will do. I'll quite happily take that for a novice against exposed lot.
Okay, all right. Bear that in mind for the plate. And very briefly, why are you with Liberty Hunter?
I look. It's more that I look for this Grand Annual, and I just think there's a lot of dross in here. There's not. You don't tend to get too many unexposed ones in the Grand. Has run really well in the race before. He's done very little wrong this season. Just looked to me like he's been sort of campaigning with an idea that we're going to have a bit of weight to carry, but we know he's going to run well. We'll run his race. Probably quite a fair price.
Okay, there's only 2 races left. We'll be super fast about this. The Fox Hunters Chase. Hear that, woke brigade. The Fox Hunters Chase. We've got It's on the Line, who was second in this race a year ago. Disappointing. Suddenly there's a monster gamble on Angel's Dawn, former Cheltenham winner. So both of them. Kate, you'll know the Hunter Chase form better than most. Thoughts on the 2 market leaders, It's on the Line and Angel's Dawn?
Yeah, you can't really write off It's on the Line, can you? I know you did let me down for the treble last year, but yes, we'll go again. Like he's not the most. He's very laboured through his races. I don't know whether have we seen the best of him. I don't know. I'd have to be probably against him.
It's a torture chamber one. It's sort of the closer you get to the race, the more you're going to understand it. It's on the line or Angel's Dawn, Adam Mills.
No.
Barry.
I like Angel's Dawn's course record. I'd probably side with her.
Okay. And the final one is the Champion Bumper. A week ago, Ruby Walsh said his nap of Cheltenham was Copacabana. And then suddenly Game of Inches comes out and bolts up. And it's all changed at the top of the betting. So Patrick Mullins is probably going to ride the Professor Caroline Tisdale horse after a hugely impressive debut at Punchestown, which means Paul will be on board Copacabana. But then you've also got Wind Beneath My Wings, Calypso Chance. But for us, it's the favourite for the race, Game of Inches. Yes or no? Final race for this episode of the Final Furlong Podcast. Adam Mills, yes or no, Game of Inches?
Are we not doing the Triumph Hurdle, Emmet? Game of Inches is a no.
Second last race. Apologies. Go on.
Game of Inches would be a no. No.
Kate?
No.
Barry?
No.
Yes.
Copacabana.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Game of Inches, I think, will win, and I think he'll win comfortably under Patrick Mullins. I really liked that performance the other day. It might be because I was there and was a little bit more taken by it. And so the last race is the Triumph Hurdle, for which Luamba on the drift. 15-8 now with Jeff Banks bet. So this is the horse we're centered on. Yes or no, Luamba, French racing expert Adam Mills.
This is like choosing between the wife and her sister. But for me, I'd have to... don't worry, she hasn't actually got a sister before anyone threatening messages in.
Come back, Emmet, will you?
I wasn't that funny, Emmet. Come on.
Does he have to?
So, how's married life?
She hasn't got a sister, don't worry. We're
right.
safe. No, I'm going to say no. No. In 2 years' time, Lulamba will be the best horse to come out of this Triumph. But I wonder if he might just get done for experience.
Kate Young.
Yeah, I'm the same kind of opinion. Would want to see him run again. East India Ducks are nothing wrong, but at a bigger price, I'm quite interested at Galileo Dame.
Barry.
Yeah, no, I think East India Dock is a champion hurdle contender next year. And I think he'll win this race.
Okay, I'm all over Hello Neighbour, but we're all against Luamba, and I think the closer we get to Cheltenham, the more this horse is going to drift at him.
Yeah, it's all about price. If Lulamba was 5-1, I'd be all over him because he's open to all amount of improvement. I think he's a superstar, and he comes from Arnold Shai, who is Europe's best trainer of a 3-year-old. So you don't have to worry about the schooling. I just think I'd like him to have had one more run and be a bit more battle hardened. And I watched Mondo Man the other day and thought, actually, that performance at Ascot was against a horse who just isn't up for this. So as much as I love the Lulamba form, and I think in time Lulamba will be a superstar, I just wonder if he's not going to be ready.
Yeah.
And for that reason, you can say 15-8. That's madness.
And Kate, you're mentioning Galileo Dame, who is currently 20-1 with Jeff Banks bet. I was saying to Barry the other day, all the talk was Galileo Dame's burning up the gallops. Galileo Dame's going to run a huge race at the DRF. She was a massive price in the build-up to that. And I think then people look at the raw form of what Hello Neighbour did and go, that's not great. But actually, it's probably really good form. Very, very good form. And he was finding more at the finish. So I'm with him, but you're with her.
No, I think she's an interest at that price. I think there's improvement to come from her. And I can't dismiss her at 20-1 for value. Whether she will or not, but I think at 20-1, she's a good each way bet.
Yeah, that's very fair, and there's plenty of upside to her as well. And Barry, you're all over East India Dock.
Yeah, I just loved how straightforward he is, Emmet. Very, very good jumper. Obviously, they make all with him the last time. He was prominent on his penultimate run, both at Cheltenham. His form, obviously, now on the new course. I absolutely loved what he done from the back of the last and both starts at Cheltenham. The way he powered up the hill. What is he rated? 89 on the level. Connections obviously had Burdett Road last year. I'd say this fella's just a much better hurdler. I really respect James Owen as a trainer. I think he's absolutely top class. And what Patrick Mullins uses that phrase sometimes when he talks about, well, it's like playing PlayStation. You just press X and the horse gets in, lovely, nice and neat, and pops it. That's exactly what East India Doc does. Yeah. Very fast over his hurdles. Lalamba, like the experience thing with him, I mean, couldn't make up my mind if I was in the Lalamba camp, like heading into the weekend, would you have liked to have seen him run before Cheltenham? Just the experience would be a little worry for me with him now. Majborough obviously won the race last year. He hadn't even won a race in Ireland, but I think the British juveniles are better than the Irish this year. I'm convinced of that. I did like his performance actually at Lamba on debut for Nicky, but I would be very confident that East India Doc is the best of those two at this point in time. And I genuinely think he could shape up into a champion hurdle contender next year. I think he'll achieve a high rating off the back of a success in the Triumph.
Okay. The better the race, the better Hello Neighbour will be. The new course at Cheltenham and the emphasis on stamina is going to help him as well. I think he's a huge, huge player. Unbeaten on the flat, unbeaten in 2 starts over hurdles, pitched into a grade 2 in his hurdling debut, thrown into a grade 1 and only a second start, and he keeps on winning. He's being underestimated, and that 11-2 with Jeff Banks bet, I think, is one of the best bets of Cheltenham. So, Naps and the horse the team is most confident about taking on, preferably a short-priced one to take on. We'll find out those in a second. First of all, you can sign up now to Jeff Banks Bet to take advantage of his 10% money-back offer on net losses up to £500 after your first month of betting. Use the promo code FFP500 to take full advantage at jeffbanks.bet. Get signed up for Cheltenham. You can watch British and Irish racing for free. There's loads of money-back offers, loads of guarantees on offer as well. All there for you on the Jeff Banks website, jeffbanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500 and get set for the Cheltenham Festival. Adam, when is your next article for At the Races coming out?
Oh, we should have one for Friday this week, I think. We've got Super Saturday and Maidan is the next one. So we're on a little roll at the moment of everything we put up seems to go well. So the longer that continues, the better.
Nice, and you did really well on the Saudi Cup card as well. So all that available for you on the At the Races website. Adam Mills, follow him on X, GG Banker. Kate, any Cheltenham previews coming up for you?
No, not this year.
That's ridiculous, considering the amount of winners you put up the last time I was doing a Cheltenham preview with you. We'll course correct that one sooner rather than later. Are you going to be at Cheltenham for the 4 days?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully be there from Monday onwards. So
excellent.
Looking forward to it.
And as part of your Cheltenham content with champ.ie, Barry, what have you got lined up?
Andrew McNamara was the guest on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge this week. He's coming out in the next half an hour, I'd say. So, I don't know when this show is coming out. What else have we got? We got the Cheltenham preview night itself, Emmet, or evening, and we're going to go through all the races outside the handicaps on Wednesday. And then next week, we're going to look at the handicaps. So, and if anyone is knocking around Ross Gray, I'm doing a preview in Allison's pub on Saturday night upcoming. Nice. So looking forward to that. Ross Gray is a pretty wild spot by all accounts. I was never had a point in there, Emmett, but I'm looking forward to that.
Going to course correct that one next week. Looking forward to that. All right, champ.ie for the website, the Champ Podcast on YouTube, available on all good podcast apps and some rubbish ones as well. Aidan O'Hara, Packy, and myself are doing a Cheltenham preview in Clears in Kilkenny on Wednesday week. That's going to be, I think it's sold out, but you might be able to get a couple of tickets still. By tickets, I mean they are free. It's very, very rare that you get a Cheltenham preview for free, so pop along if you're around the Kilkenny area. It should be a good fun night. Packy is not afraid to express an opinion or two, and Aidan's always got some big prize winners lined up for us as well, so I'm looking forward to that one. We've got Gavin Lynch coming up on the show very soon, Paul Ferguson, Adam Mills, Kate Young, and a load of other big name guests as well, so make sure you're subscribed to the Final Furlong Podcast YouTube and the podcast apps as well, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Tell a friend, it all helps. Your best bet of Cheltenham 2025 and the horse you're most confident about taking on, Barry, is...
Foil Demand the Nap, Dino Blue and the Mares Chase Delay.
Kate Young.
The Kopek Des Bordes, Find the Man Double, and Burn.
Did you just say Ballyburn is your biggest take on horse?
Yeah.
How dare you, Kate Young? How dare... I love it. Adam Mills.
Mine come in the same race. Caroline Bamboo in the Mares Novices Hurdle, and I'll happily take on Maureen.
Okay, I will happily take on Luamba. And my best bet is... I could go for one horse, but why go for one horse? Why don't I just follow in Kate and go Kopek Des Bordes, Final Demand, Hallow Neighbour, and Ballyburn. You're wrong, Kate. There's the scumbag each way acume that gets your account closed, and it can't lose. It can't lose. Thanks so much to the team. I've really enjoyed their company as always on the Final Furlong Podcast. I hope you've liked it too. If you did, likes and shares are much appreciated on YouTube and of course for the podcast apps as well. From Adam Mills, Kate Young, and Barry, it's been a pleasure. We're looking forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Check out champ.ie. Check out Adam's excellent articles. Make sure you're following Kate. They're all excellent, and we really appreciate you joining us on the show. Your support of the podcast is much, much appreciated. The countdown to the greatest show on turf continues. It's the Cheltenham Festival. We're bringing you all the coverage on the Final Furlong Podcast. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.